I'm back to a new season, and hope you all had a good summer. Mine was good, but busy. I don't know how yours was, but hopefully it was a good one.
What do you think of this place? It must be pretty blown away with the facilities.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I think they did an unbelievable job, to be honest with you, Joe. I think, we had obviously outgrown the other place, but come in here and see this, it certainly energizes you and excites you in getting ready for a new season.
Last year, you kind of had to change lines out of necessity. Did you expect to do that more out of design this year with the, having Backus there and being flexible like that?
Well, there is that flexibility. I think it's definitely there, but you hope that you can have some sort of consistency. I'm more of a believer in having consistency instead of always changing your lines around and building on that. It's not a bad thing. Obviously, sometimes you don't have a choice, but we do have that flexibility, and we may have to use it.
What's your experience been like up in Toronto for the World Cup? And how long are you in town for?
Just a day. I'm heading back this afternoon, and want to be here for the opening of camp and make sure we got off on the right foot, and give the players, I guess, the opening statements of the head coach. And so I was happy I was able to do that. We have a day off today and preparing for Saturday's game. And so it was, timing was great. Allowed me to come here and do that. But so far it's been great in Toronto, and the whole experience has been good. Same as anytime you get the elite players together on a single team, and you look at all the different teams that were out there. And I know it's a tough tournament, and there's a lot of good teams, and you just have to look at Team North America. Even us as a coaching staff for Team Canada, we're just amazed at how well they have done and how exciting they have made the game. And I think a lot of people are crossing their fingers now that they can move on to the next stage of this tournament. But it's been great. The experience has been great. It's been a lot of fun, and it's also been exciting, and then lots more excitement to come.
Was it further your captaincy, two of your guys go on that first line, and how much did you maybe push for that?
I didn't have to push for any of that, to be honest with you. This is basically on merit. One of the reasons is, Sid and obviously Bergie have played together before. And I think at the same time, when you look at Bergie and Mark, they're pretty good together as a pair. So it just seemed to be the right fit to start with, and it just worked out. Like we weren't necessarily thinking like that's the line that's going to stay that way. They certainly had to prove that they were a good line, and they did that. But our two guys have no doubt have been dialed in from day one, and to me have been tremendous players for our hockey club.
When a guy has the season that Marchand did, do you change your expectations for what he might be able to bring the next year?
Well, I think Brad's been that kind of a player for quite a long time, and we just have to look back at his first year to where he is now. Like how much more, like when I say he's matured as a hockey player, he's also matured as a person, because he's also become a pretty good leader. And right now, where he is with Team Canada, he's also very respected by his teammates for the way he prepares, the way he plays, and everything else. So he's come a long ways. And at the same time, what better example to grow and become better when you're playing alongside probably with one of the best two-way centers in the league. So he's had that luxury too, and as a coach, you're extremely proud of how well they've done so far. And if they can bring this to our hockey club this year, it certainly bodes well in the direction that we're going.
When you have Backus coming in, it looks like he could slot pretty easily into that third line center spot. Does that change your plans with a guy like Spooner? I mean, do you want to look more at him on the wing instead of center? What's kind of the plan for him now that that's happened?
Well, I think there's a lot that can happen in this training camp, Joe. I think a lot of it is, we'll see how Spoons does, at center. We still got him at center right now. There's no doubt you had that option of Backus being a strong third line centerman. At the same time, you still have Backus as also a pretty strong right winger on your top two lines that you could also use. But I think there's a lot of things, like right now, we've looked at all the different scenarios, and we're gonna let it play out here in training camp, and hopefully have a clear picture by the time we're ready to start.
Claude, we've been told a couple times that, you know, way back, because of the World Cup, you and your staff, you know, planned all these practices in camp, you know, kind of down to the minute. Are you also like involved in like, you know, grouping the guys and, you know, play this guy here and can't play that guy there, or is that?
We've done all of that stuff so far. We've made, you know, our teams for tomorrow's start of camp, and obviously you kind of put those things together, but there's also, you know, obviously the medicals and everything else, and sometimes you get a few surprises here or there. So we've left some room to tweak those lineups. There's going to be 2 teams. Again, there's enough to make 2 teams of more or less. I think it's 4 lines and 8 Ds. So we're in pretty good shape right now that way, unless we get some different news here later on. But that's been the plan. We've already done those things. We've pre-planned our practices and everything. And so you know, I'm fortunate to really have some coaches and Joe Sacco and Bruce Cassidy, who have also been head coaches in the NHL and can definitely handle that very easily. And with Jay, who's had a great relationship last year and moving forward here with the young kids and developing, they're going to do just fine here. We've got Kevin Dean that's going to step on the ice as well to help out and get to know the players well also, and that's going to be you know, a help to him in moving forward when those guys start coming to Providence.
Well, if you look at your 9 or 10 years here, sort of focus on, say, years 4, 5, 6, 7, when you truly know what your team is. You go into this camp thinking, I've got a lot of discovery to do here, there's more questions to answer in terms of shape and roster.
Well, there's no doubt, there's some questions to be answered. As I mentioned earlier, you know, there's a lot of things I think that are going to be decided here in training camp by giving those guys opportunities and see where they fit. But I also look at this as when I first came in and when we started building our team and putting it together, there's also some good excitement there. I remember, you know, Lucic being a 19-year-old, David Kretzy first full year. You know, Bergie obviously was injured that year, but was a young player. So there was a lot of guys that came in that year and grew to become decent players by the end of the year. And I think there's an opportunity here with a lot of those guys to do the same thing. And you know, I'm really excited about that challenge. You know, I love those kind of challenges where you can take some of those young players and make them into reliable players. And what you want is just the guys to play the game the right way and respect the game plan and let the rest of their abilities take over. They're all skilled players and they all have strengths. But you know, at the end of the day, it's so important that you play a certain way that everybody knows what's going on out there. We're not on different pages.
Well, if you're part of a big staff with Team Canada, what are your day-to-day responsibilities there?
Keep things loose. And obviously they got me doing the penalty kill. With the same thing as I did at the Olympics. So, you know, and Barry Trotz has been doing the power play in regards to that. But, you know, on the bench, I'm the guy that gives Mike Babcock feedback. He's also, I'm also the guy that he bounces things on and asks me for my opinions. So that's why I'm next to him all the time, got the earpiece and kind of work closely with him. Joel takes care of moving the Ds around, and obviously Barry's working with the power play and giving some forwards some advice here.
All your coaches up there are in the same boat, Barry, Joel, you're all focusing on that, but you're also trying to keep tabs on your club team. What has it been like trying to manage both those aspects for all you guys?
It's actually been pretty good, Pluto, to be honest with you, because as I mentioned earlier, I think everybody was well prepared for that. I think we all did a good job of getting everything ready and in place. And yeah, obviously, you know, when you start training camp, your head coach is in there. It's going to be a little bit different for the players, but the whole concept of the training camp is not. And that's why I said in my position here, having guys that have been head coaches in the NHL is certainly a plus for us. But everything is so well put in place, and just talking to the other guys also, where they had their coaching staff in and prepared everything. It's going to be, we're talking here about, you know, a week to maybe 10 days at the most. So I'm sure that we can get around that fairly easily. And those first few exhibition games, you always give a lot of those young players an opportunity early on to see if they can take that next step to remain longer in training camp. So I think I saw the game the other day in Buffalo in our rookie tournament. So I got a good feel on the young players that were there. So I feel like I'm on top. And same thing, I'll be in contact every day with our coaching staff and Don here, and I'll make sure I stay on top of things.
There was a lot of talk about upgrading the D over the summer and that being a priority. Obviously, that didn't happen. Incumbent players all coming back. Do you feel like you have the group of defensemen that can make that jump that you need to make with this team?
Well, my plan is to upgrade our D with our play. I think I really honestly feel that we can be a lot better of a D group just by our play. And we're going to do some things this year. Again, we talk about tweaking things, and the game evolves, and we're going to evolve with it. So I think we have the ability to make our D core better this year with our play, and that's where we're going to start.
Specifically with one of the guys on that D, Colin Miller, obviously it was his first year in the league. Last year he's kind of getting his feet wet and learning the lay of the land. What do you want to see out of him, or what are the expectations for him in year two?
Well, I think in his case, he's got all the ability. He's a good skater. He's got a great shot. He moves the puck well. For the most part, he's got everything he does. And I think last year was more about maybe settling his game down a little bit. At times, it got a little bit reckless, and that's where we, have to come in as coaches in Providence and helping him out. And us here doing the same thing, and maybe just kind of settling his game down in certain areas and making it better than others, and that way he'll be a complete player. We feel he's got the package to be that. But again, some players just need to grow into those roles. Some players need a little bit more time to develop their skills at the lower level. So we're just trying to make the best decision here and in moving forward. And we really do feel that he's a guy that can certainly help this hockey club.
With Hudobin coming back and trying to battle for a backup job, what did you like from him from his first time here, and what do you expect from him